What's going on, everybody? It's Jay here from Nerd Takes, and today I wanted to give you my take on Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. So, the sequel to 1988's Beetlejuice, which is properly named Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, is in theaters, and as a big fan of the original, this was one that I was very interested in seeing. Now, I'm not huge on the idea of 30-plus-year-old sequels in general. I tend to be quite skeptical on them actually being made with the right intentions versus just more of a cash grab type of deal. So, going into this one, I wasn't exactly sure what we were going to get, but I have been surprised by some of these types of sequels before, so I wanted to give it a fair try. And with that said, I went and saw the movie, and while I didn't think it was awful, I didn't think it was particularly good either. And it left me with a lot of thoughts that I'm going to go ahead and break down in this review. So, to give an idea what the movie is about, it is a direct follow up to the story from the original, and it sees stars Michael Keaton, Winona Ryder, and Catherine O'Hara all reprise their roles from the original film. We also see some new faces join the cast, like Jenna Ortega and Justin Theroux. Now, because this is a spoiler free review, I'm not going to get too much into the details of the story. What I'm going to do is go over some of the good and the bad as I saw it. So to start, let's go with the good. The first thing that I did like about this was the three actors of the original film reprising their roles. I thought all three did a pretty good job at getting back into these characters and continuing a story that's been on the shelf for some time now. Especially Michael Keaton and Catherine O'Hara. It was really cool to see how much fun it seemed like they were having slipping right back into these roles. They were both just very animated and funny, and probably my two favorite characters and actors in the movie. Winona Ryder also did a good job in reprising her role as Lydia Dietz, but the animated nature of the other two characters and actors just really made for a lot of fun when they were on the screen. I also really liked the look of the film. It was very Tim Burton by design, and it didn't try to be too modern in terms of technology, which I did appreciate. And what I mean by that is he didn't rely on CGI and instead wanted to keep the same visual look as the 80s original. And by mixing in some practical effects as well as some great makeup and costume design, he was really able to stay true to the original look of the franchise. And then we had the music in the film, which I did like and I thought it was well applied, but I will say it just wasn't quite as good as it was in the original. Then we move on to the bad, and there's really no better place to start than the writing. It's not a well written story. There's a base foundation of it that isn't bad in theory, and it's one that you pick up on in the trailer where Lydia is trying to save her daughter Astrid. But the problem is they try to tell too many stories at once in this film. There's multiple stories that they're trying to tell simultaneously and then connect into one ending. And it just comes off as way too much going on, and that none of these individual stories are getting enough time dedicated to them in order to tell the story properly. And with that comes the issue of too many characters in this movie as well, who are also not getting enough time to be properly developed, where then by the end of it, you don't get the chance to really connect with any of them or their stories or what they have going on. They just kind of feel like they're in this to be instruments of the plot rather than characters you're supposed to develop any kind of feelings or opinions on. I think honestly, the only three I could say I felt a little bit less like they suffered from that issue were the three characters from the first film, and that's really just because we had already had an entire film with them, so it was easy to kind of just pick up on where they are now. But because of this attempt to do too much with the story and have too many characters, it felt like everything was just really rushed and that there wasn't a great payoff by the end of it when the story comes together. Now, for me, that was honestly probably the biggest fault of the movie. There were some other little things for sure, like creative choices that didn't work and a musical number that was drawn out way too long, but none of that hurt the film the way that the writing and the rush pace did. Overall, as far as 30-plus-year-old sequels go, this one isn't one of the worst, but it's also not one of the best either. It falls somewhere in the mediocre category for me, but I was still able to enjoy it for the most part. The nostalgia factor absolutely plays a huge role in that, if I'm being totally honest. It's a character in a franchise that I've always loved, so seeing it come back to life on the big screen was nice. I just wish it was done better. Now, the question of would I recommend this movie? So, this is a bit of a layered answer. I think if you enjoyed the first movie, then you'll find some fun watching this one. I don't think anyone will find it to be better than the original, but they might find it to be an adequate continuation of the story. However, if you're not a big fan of the franchise and see this one, I don't think you're going to like it very much from a basic movie standpoint. So, the way I would say it is if you're a Beetlejuice fan, then I recommend checking it out so you can make up your own opinion on it. And if you're not a Beetlejuice fan, then I think you're okay to wait till it's on a streaming service and see it when you get around to it. I don't think for either scenario, it's really one you have to rush to go see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll be back again with another review soon.